Hello everyone, in this video we're going to go over the solutions for test 3. So on the first question we have, we're working on the set of multiple choice questions and we have to find all the solutions for e to the 4 x minus 7 equals e. So what you do here, since you have e on both sides, is that you can apply the log, and when you apply the log you get log of this equals to log of this. And so this log of e is of course 1, and the log cancels with the e, and I'm going to get 4x minus 7 equals 1. So this means 4x is equals 8, and this means x is equals a over 4, so it's equals 2. So the solution here is going to be only 2. Number 2 says, find the solution of log of x minus 4 equals 2. So this is kind of similar, but here we don't have logs on the other side. But we're doing the same thing of using exponential and logs as inverse. So we're going to go and apply exponential on both sides. So we're going to get e to the log of x minus 4 equals to e to the 2. E cancels with the log, so this is equivalent to x minus 4 equals to e to the 2, and therefore x is e to the 2 plus 4, which is going to be answer B. Now we're checking what is the corresponding terminal point to the minus square root of 3 over 2 minus 1/2 on the unit circle. So one of the things that you see that you can do here is that you can use the unit circle that was provided on the exam. If you don't remember immediately what it is, notice that this is a point on the third quadrant. So because they're both negative, so you can look for it. So you can see here that is 7 pi over 6. So that will be the answer in here. Now, question number 4 is, what is the cosine of 13 pi over 6? Now, notice that 12 pi over 6 is 2 pi. So this is like we're going 1 pi over 6 extra after 2 pi. So this is going to be equivalent. This is going to have a coterminal angle of cosine of pi over 6. Then again, at this point, you use the unit circle, and cosine of pi over 6 is just going to be square root of 3 over 2. So you're going to have that this is answer A. Now, question 5 says, for a circle of radius 4, what is the arc length, or the length of the arc with the center angle equals 60? Now, the formula for the arc length is S of the arc equals theta times r. But theta here has to be on radians. So we got to translate this 60 to what is that on radians. And so we can use again the unit circle. We noted that 60 degrees is pi over 3. We don't have to do a big conversion here. And so this is pi over 3 times 4. And so this is going to be 4 pi over 3, which is answer C. Now for question number 6, we're asking what is the sine of 3 pi over 4. Now, one of the things that you got to remember is that the sine inverse is going to let you values on pi half to pi minus pi half to pi half. So you got to remember that your final output needs to be here. Now, but to get started with this, we need to find out what is sine of 3 pi over 4, so we can know what is inside here. We can use again our unit circle, and so we check 3 pi over 4. The sine of 3 pi over 4 is the square root of 2 over 2, since that's our coordinate y for the point in there. And now when we're doing sine inverse, notice that this is going to give me pi over 4, because we're essentially checking for an angle. So that angle is sine to the minus 1 of the square root of 2 over 2, and so that means that the square root of 2 over 2 should be the sine of theta. So when you take a look at the circle and see where the sine is the square root of 2 over 2, you're going to find out that it's here or is here. But because it has to be between minus pi half and pi half, which is the first half circle, the right half circle here, so it gotta be this angle, it gotta be pi over 4. So this means that theta is pi over 4, and then we have this is answer C. Now, question number 7 is asking me about a log equation. So we want to solve for x if log of x minus 1 plus log of x is equals log of 4x. So as you know, for solving this, you gotta consolidate the logs. So this is going to be log of x times x minus 1 equals log of 4x. And then at this point, you can apply exponential to both sides to cancel out the log. And when you do that, you're going to get x times x minus 1 equals 4x. Or you're going to have x squared minus x equals 4x, which means that x squared minus 5x is equal to 0. And this is just going to give me two options. X times x minus 5 equals 0, so that means x equals 0, x equals 5. Because 0 cannot be plugged in here, because a log of 0 does not exist, then it's only going to be answer E, which is x equals 5. Now for question 8, we have that the right triangle with an acute angle 30 degrees and with a hypotenuse of 8 is given. So here. So we want to find out what is marked with x, which is essentially the opposite to this. Since we have the opposite and we have the hypotenuse in the relationship and we have the angle, then it's very easy to just use the sine of 30 as what we need as information, and this is opposite over hypotenuse, so x over 8. So to find x, we're just going to do 8 sine of 30, and that's going to be x. Now, sine of 30 is just going to be 1/2 using our unit circle. And so this is just going to give me x equals 4. And that is our final answer for question 8. Now for question 9, we have, again, this question came in the past. And so this is the graph of a log, and we want to find out which one is it. Notice that this is crossing in 4 is crossing 0. So the logs are 0 only at once. So this needs to mean that when I plug 4, the inside of the log needs to be a 1. This is only one option here, this one. Because when you plug 4, you get 4 minus 3. So log of 4 minus 3 is log of 1. And that's going to give me a 0. Also, this means that we have an asymptote at 3, which is just the point that we have over here. So that kind of makes sense. So this is our answer for question 9. Now, question 10 is about converting the angle 200 to radians. Of course, here we cannot use the unit circle because this is not a special angle. So we're just going to say, well, 200 degrees is certain x, but I'm aware that 180 degrees was equals to pi. So I'm going to use this ratio here to find out what it is. I can quickly disregard one of the zeros and say that x is equals 20 over 18 pi. I can simplify this a bit, divided by 2. This is 10 over 9 pi. And that's pretty much one of the answers here. So I'm just going to go with that. Okay. Question 11 is about the cosine to the minus 1 of minus 1/2. So now, to find that, you got to remember that this is an angle, right? And so you can now instead look for values so that the cosine of theta is equals to minus 1/2. You can take a look at the unit circle. And so the cosine is the x, remember? So when is the cosine going to be minus 1/2? Is going to be here at 2 pi over 3, or is going to be here at 4 pi over 3. But if you remember, the cosine inverse takes numbers between minus 1 to 1, and it lands in 0 to pi. So this means that the answer gotta be between 0 and pi. Theta gotta be a number between 0 and pi. And so checking that means that it gotta be 2 pi over 3. Alright, so now the couple last questions, multiple choice question. We have an acute angle, which is information that is in the first quadrant. Notice that, acute angle. And we're given that sine of theta is 3 over 5. Let's find the tangent of theta. So we can do the triangle if you want to. This is one way of doing it. And this is opposite over hypotenuse, so we can say, okay, so the opposite is going to be here, the hypotenuse is going to be here. You can use the right triangle theorem, and so phi squared is equals to x squared, which is the amount that we don't know, the adjacent here, plus 3 squared. And so we have 25 minus 9 is equals x squared, so 16 is equals x squared, so 4 is equals x. X needs to be positive since the angle is acute, and we are on the first quadrant then. So now that means that the cosine of theta is going to be 4 over 5, adjacent over hypotenuse. And so the tangent of theta, which is going to be sine over cosine, is just going to be 3 over 5 over 4 over 5. So it's going to be 3 over 4, which is answer C. Now, question 13 says, which of the following describe the following graph? And you notice that this is like a tangent. It is a tangent, but it's not going from minus pi half to pi half. Actually, tangent of 0 is 0, but you see that the tangent is 0 on pi half. So it's like we're moving the tangent to pi half, and that means that the answer gotta be A, because we're moving tangent pi units to the right. And that's matching up. It has an asymptote of pi, it has an asymptote of 0, so this matches up with this, and that completes that multiple selection questions. So now let's go to fill in the blanks. So we have write either true or false in the following fill in the blanks. Notice this square root doesn't work like this, so the square root of 1 minus cosine squared is not just 1 minus cosine. That's not how the radicals working here. You cannot distribute over the sum, so this is false. Cosine of x, it is 1 over secant of x, because secant of x is actually defined as 1 over cosine, so you can kind of flip the position of secant with cosine, and you're going to get this is true. Now tangent to the minus 1 of 5 pi over 4 is not going to be this is not going to be true, so this is false. And the reason why is because notice that this is telling you that tangent of 5 pi over 4 is equals minus 1, but the tangent is sine over cosine. So this is telling me that the sine over cosine of 5 pi over 4 is the same, but they have opposite sign. But 5 pi over 4 is in the third quadrant, and in the third quadrant both sine and cosine, they have the same sign, so it's impossible to have this minus 1 as their value. Of course, you can check the unit circle for that, and you can see that 5 pi over 4 it produces these two values. So the ratio between sine and cosine is going to give you 1, not minus 1. That's another way of reaching that value. Now, the graph of tangent of x has an vertical asymptote at x equals pi half. That is true. This is definitely true. And the graph of the cosine function can be obtained from the graph of sine, shifting horizontally pi units to the left. This is correct because the sine starts at 0. Let me actually bring decimals here so we can take a look. So we can use Desmos calculator. And so this is saying the cosine can be obtained from the sine shifting pi units to the left. So notice this is sine of x, but if we take it and we shift by half units, then you notice This is shifting 5 units to the right, so it's not going to work. So if we shift 5 units to the left though, now you can see that it matches the cosine. If we do pi half units to the left. So now this is true. Question 15 gives me a graph, and it gives me an equation of a sinusoidal function. We have phi cosine of 2x minus 1, and then we're trying to find all the information about this function. Notice that first you can find out the range. The range is the values that it takes in y. It goes from minus 6 to 4, so we can write here minus 6 to 4. The amplitude clearly is the distance from minus 6 to 4, which is 10 divided by 2, so it's 5. You can also see that from here, the amplitude is 5. The period, you can see it from here. The distance between two maximum is pi, or you can also get it from here by doing 2 pi over number 2, which is here, and so you get pi. The horizontal chef, we don't see a horizontal chef in here, and it's not something that I can check in here, so it's going to be none. And the vertical chef, of course, is 1 down, so minus 1 or 1 down. And that is pretty much question 15. Now, for question 16 was extra points, and it was just by recognizing what the trigonometric functions were. Clearly, A is sine, so this is going to be A. B is cosine, so this should be B. Notice that this matches the sine. So because it kisses the maximums of the sines, this got to be a cosecant. So C is cosecant. D matches cosine. So this is going to be secant. 1 over cosine is secant, and you can notice that this matches that behavior of 1 over cosine. And finally, E is going to be the tangent, and F is going to be the cotangent. So this was just about identifying correctly what each of the graphs were. Last but not least, the extended response. We have a population of a small town of Ohio. In 2010 was 5,000, and so we take the year 2010 as the t equals 0, and the initial population P0 was 5,000. So this is the initial information. We have that the rate is 20%, which is 20 over 100, or 0.2. So now we can write what P of t is. P of t is just 5,000 e to the 0.2t. Now on B, we want to know after how many years the population of this town will reach 10,000. So we have that 10,000 is P of certain t, and that's going to be 5,000 e to the 0.2 bt. So this means that I divide 10,000 by 5,000, and this is going to be e to the 0.2t. This is of course 2. 10,000 divided by 5,000 is 2. And so now I can apply the log of on both sides. So log of 2 is going to cancel the e here, and I'm going to have 0.2t. And so t is just going to be log of 2 divided by 0.2. And this is perfectly a good answer. But another way that you can see this is as 1 over 5. 0.2 can be seen as 1 over 5, so you can do 5 log of 2. Okay? And so that's a good final answer. And finally, on C, we have the population in 2025. Notice that this is when t equals 15. So 2025, this means 15 in here. And so we're trying to do P of 15. But we already know the formula, so we just got to plug in 15 here. And this is 5,000 e to the 0.2 times 15. And so this is 5,000 by e to the 3. And that's it. That's the final answer. And these are the solutions for test 3.